Welcome to Elevating the Culture, a podcast that explores the complex issues confronting Black men and the people who care about them.
All right, we good.
Let's get it.
Welcome to Elevating the Culture. We are back, Black men. How are things? How was your week? What's good?
Things are good, busy. I'm excited for today because we're going to be talking about pace and balance, which kind of just segues into like what's going on in life right now. It's February. It's African Heritage Month, Black History Month. So there's a lot of things going on in community and in organizations, which are putting more and more demands on people that are already, stretched thin. So, but no, things have been good. There's been a lot of like nice celebrations, nice acknowledgments that I've seen that are really just celebrating the contributions and the meaningful things that we've done in so many spaces. So that's always dope to see and be a part of. So I'm happy to be here with y'all and ready to get things going.
Yeah, man. Same thing. Busy time, African Heritage Month. I'm laughing because it's nice to celebrate, but it's work being Black this month.
No.
It's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like people have a lot of expectations but it's still all good. Obviously, we'd rather have it than not have it. And so, trying to take it all in, an opportunity to vibe with community people. Again, same thing we talk about, see people that we haven't seen in a bit. And also at work, I think all of us probably in the same situation. It's busy. It's a busy time, right? High school, my graduates are thinking about that. So they're thinking about what program am I doing? Where am I going? Money. Am I set up for it? All those things. And it's a good time. Like it's good to be able to help support them with those things and try to put them at ease and say, listen, we're going to do this. It'll get done. Don't worry. Right. You will get to where you need to go. Busy, but good.
Yeah.
Maintain peace and their balance.
Yes, bro.
Yeah, it's a busy time. It's a busy time for everybody, not just with African Heritage Month, but we're always into a lot of things. And if we're going to be talking about pace and balance and kind of that space in between growth, evolution, and kind of being able to provide ourselves with grace and accept where we are, let's start with, what are you into? What's taking up your time and attention right now outside of work, or maybe it's involving work? What does that look like in terms of involvement professionally and personally?
Go ahead, bro.
All right. So what's taking up, how did you frame it?
Yeah, what's taking up your time?
So taking up my time right now, when I think about professional, because there's a lot of mapping out the rest of the year. Like, a lot of the work that I'm involved in, people want to know where are we going? What's the direction we're heading in? So the beginning of the year is often when you kind of map that out. Mm-hmm. So that's a lot of what the energy and time has been kind of put into is really just like, what is our plan? What's the forecast for the year? And, it changes, but like you want to have an idea of kind of where you're going, what are your goals? What are the things that you're really trying to deliver on? So a lot of that energy is being poured into that in terms of the professional stuff. And community is always a part of that too. Community never stops. There's no let up. Like if community needs me, or if there's things going on in community, I'm going to try to involve myself, insert myself in the ways that I can. So that's always an ongoing and continuous thing. And then, as a parent, this is always, what consumes a lot of my capacity and output is just trying to make sure that my kids are where they need to be. I'm making time, to be, present with them and just creating opportunities to just do meaningful things with them and just not be, unavailable or disconnected. So those are the main things that are really, occupying my time and my energy and are really making me really have to look at my pace and balance.
That's a lot.
Yes, it is.
A lot of kind of competing priorities too.
Yes, sir.
Right. Mm-hmm. Especially when for which probably every human being, one of the challenges is the professional with the personal. That's always one of the main things, right? So, yeah, bro, you got a lot going on. I would say for me, I'm trying to do I think that I'm doing a better job in disconnecting from the professional at the end of the day, right? So when work's done, work's done. It's still going to be in the back of my head, just the nature of the job, working with young people. And, Russell, you talk about parenting, right? And it made me think, like, part of my job is working with parents too. Like, you're not just working with, especially if you're community oriented, you're not just working with young people, you're working with their parents because they're a part of their lives and they're a part of their program. So that can extend you beyond the work day. But I try not to do that too much. And when I do, I feel that there's a need. But again, the measurement for me is, is it exhausting me? If I feel that it is, I definitely got to disconnect. And the other part we often talk about is the joy part. If I'm engaged in that stuff and there's not an element of joy that says, this was work, but I'm glad that I did it. If it's like, this was work and this is shitty, like I don't see no joy or a lack of joy, right, then that has to be a barometer for me in terms of disconnecting. Mm-hmm. One of the things outside of work, which is taking time, which is good, is, and we talked about this, and Jude, this, re-engaging with brothers in the institution. Which of course I love to do. And so just recently, probably roughly halfway through a program that I call Know Thyself, and I named it after Dr. Naeem Akbar's book, Know Thyself. And so it's really a number of sessions going into Spring Hill Federal Institution, working with about 12, 15 brothers on the things that we often talk about here, right? Social, emotional health, physical wellness, mental health, psychological wellness, all those things, cultural elements that we need poured into us, so that in terms of their successful reintegration program. So those things are really good, and I often tell the guys that because it's Afrocentric, so we're all here. I'm not pouring into anybody's cup. We're all educating each other, and it's very much like a lateral thing. And so
reciprocal.
100%, bro. Yeah. And I always try to keep reminding all of us of that. Like, I'm here and doing a program, but it's not about me. It's about what happens here. And so that is occupying a significant amount of my time, but in a good way, because I feel good about it. I get a sense that guys, at least they express appreciation that we're doing that. And so, and then some other things with some universities, working with some, student leaders, Black student leaders. I'm going to be doing something soon with St. Mary's University. So yeah, that's taking up my time. And same thing as we talk about, I got to be conscious about making sure it's not too much.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You didn't even mention the family, right? That's another element.
Right.
Right. Much like both of you, I got a lot going on. And like both of you mentioned some really, really good things. The Black Men Summit is coming up again. That's May 22nd to the 24th. Coming out this year. You missed the first two.
I don't like the tone. That's a bad start.
I just got to put it out there. We're present for the last two.
Well, you better find a better way to put it out there. You better work on your presentation. Because that don't sound like an invite to me. That's just another reason for me not to go. That hostility, that aggression and hostility.
We move way beyond an invitation, brother. It's an expectation.
Yeah.
But again, we're trying to get 100 plus brothers back to the Tim Hortons camp in Tittabagush, engaging in some meaningful conversations and discussing wellness. We've had some conversations just before we get on today talking about an event we're attempting to organize in the summertime that's going to focus on Black men. There's mindful conversations. There's the wellness series that I'm involved in, Intro, that's wrapping up in March. So a lot of fantastic things. There's a move to kind of reinvigorate the education committee Intro, which I'm really happy about.
Ooh, loving that.
Right? Trying to get parents active, involved, developing a more functional and collaborative relationship with community.
Ooh, I love that.
So
brother, let me be involved in that somehow.
Ooh, now brother. He wants in.
Yeah, that's in my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah, so you
balance.
see how it goes when
Yeah.
you want to.
No,
when you want to.
no. Thanks for the reminder, Russell. You got too much on your plate, brother.
Oh man!
So some good things, some really really good things are happening. Some good energy, and we are part of what I continue to refer to as this movement that's afoot, at least here in Nova Scotia.
Right.
The openness to unconventional wellness practices and a more of a intentional effort to be well.
Right.
Love
Right.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. And can I just do a quick shout out because you mentioned it?
Certainly.
Russell, I know you were a part of it. I think before the new year, up in Truro, working with the brothers at one of the wellness sessions. I came up in January, and same thing. It was great. Like just exactly what I expected. I loved everything about it, as usual. One of the things that I really enjoyed was the age range. That's the thing that stuck out to me the most. That we had who I would call elders, and actively participating, not a wallflower, like talking about what they do and how they contribute and how they want to. All the way to Jude, we had some teenagers there. We had some high school brothers there, man, and everybody in between. So that it was super positive. And a beautiful morning.
Thank you for that, brother.
Yeah, man.
So, I mean, we're trying to find balance here, and there is an expectation of ambition that we're supposed to grow and evolve and want more. How do you find that space, that comfort between wanting more and accepting where you are right now?
So I love that question, but what I want to do really quickly, if we can we just really try to like simplify what we're talking about when we're talking about pace and balance, just for anyone who's listening? And like, I thought about this to myself, just like what is an easy way to kind of use an analogy or something like that so that people are understanding, what we're talking about when we're talking about pace and balance. So, and please build off this if you feel the need to, but like when I think about pace, the analogy that comes to mind is like running a race. We hear people refer to life as a marathon,
Right.
And if you are running too hard or at a pace that you can't sustain and keep, you are going to break down. You might fall on your face or whatever that is. So like, that's what you're talking about in life is like the things that you're taking on, the things that you're doing, can you sustain the output?
Right.
So when we're talking about pace, that's what I want people to think about. Like, and again, like the analogy of running a race, like if it's a marathon, you can't just run full speed when the gun goes off because you'll never be able to continue that the whole race, right? So when I'm talking about pace, that's kind of what I think about. And then when I think about balance, I think about like literally you're just standing on your feet. You know what I mean? If you're somebody that is standing on your own 2 feet and something pushes you to the left or to the right, you're eventually going to lose your balance, and that's how we move through the world is like we're taking more things on. There's more weight and it's pushing us one way or the other. And we need to make sure that we're not taking on so much that it's pushing us one way or the other in a way that we can't continue to maintain our balance. If something keeps getting added to you and you're leaning to the right, you're eventually going to fall.
Right.
So like, how do I get back aligned? So like I said,
I like that. In terms of balance, I'm kind of envisioning one foot and the fact that you're going to lose your balance. Part of the process is finding balance again.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So expecting that you're going to lose, trying to prepare for it, but understanding that there's going to be struggles, setbacks, and you got to get back on and find balance.
Yeah. And the thing I love, even just where you just took that and what came to my mind too, is like just thinking about having that community. You know what I mean? When I'm off balance, like can my brothers come and hold me up?
Right.
You know what I mean? Can they help me get realigned and reposition me back where I need to be, back in a balanced position? So I love that.
Oh yeah, we've created a nice little metaphor there, brother.
Yes, sir.
He can contribute to it now.
No. Hey, sometimes you just got to leave. Hey, man, you just got to appreciate what was created. I don't need to. As an English teacher, I love the metaphor though. And the other thing too is, Russell, that last part in terms of community and helping you, because every human being needs others to help for a lot of things, but certainly to realign. And I would also add in that part of the healthy approach, possibly to pace and balance in terms of that alignment and that realignment, is for, whether it comes internally or if it comes from others, to say, bro, we can help put you on balance, but part of the balance is you might have to slow down a bit. You might have to not take so much on. Now, again, in terms of the things that we constantly talk about and the things that we're fortunate, I would say, to be involved in, there's a lot of demand with that, right? Like when you say, we say all the time, like, we don't take community lightly. And so when you're involved in community, we identify skill sets in ourselves and others, and we want to contribute. Sometimes that can be an issue. Sometimes that can, I think we talked about it off camera a lot of the times, how it's pulling us in directions. It's a good thing that we're trying to be a part of, or that we are a part of. But let's just be honest, oftentimes it's a lot. And so, Jude, when you asked that question in terms of pace and balance and what are some of the healthy things that we do, so there's two things that come to my mind. One is I'm not sure how well I do at that. Like, I really have to sit back and reflect on, I feel like I'm doing better. And better for me means, one of the barometers is, and I don't have an issue with saying no, or like saying no to others, or saying that I'm not going to do this, right? See, that smirk. That smirk is not coming from a good place. I know. I see. As soon as it was out there, I couldn't bring it back. I never say no to you. No, I don't know what you're smirking. I don't know what you're smirking. That got to be part of the balance. I got to start saying no. And now it's on camera, so you could hold me to it. But also, this is the last part I'll say about it, is when we talk about community and everything that is, it also reminds me of what we often talk about, which is purpose. And I think sometimes when we're on, using, metaphors again, on that hamster wheel, and we're going and we're going and we're going, in my experience, it's easy to lose sight of the focus. So we're doing things, right? We're doing things, but sometimes we may lose sight of the actual purpose of why we're doing it. It just becomes a thing that we're doing.
Right.
So if I can, again, step back a little bit and reflect on, okay, what's the purpose? Like, why am I a part of this? Why am I participating? Why am I doing this? Then that can help me actually align or realign. You know what I'm saying? Because I can say, okay, this is important, but it also doesn't have to be me. There's all kinds of other people out there with skill sets too. And, we often talk about one of the things, and I don't know if this is exclusive to Black communities, but like we talk about it, sometimes you see the same people doing the same stuff all the time. And I'm like, man, we only got 5 or 6 people that can do these things. There's way more, and it may not be intentional, but sometimes we can get caught up in doing so much. Not only does it burn us as individuals out, but it also doesn't offer an opportunity for others to participate, which is ultimately what we want, right? Yeah. We want this to be reciprocity. We want not a hierarchy, not a top-down model. We want it to be circular, right? Afrocentric, right? We're constantly connected and we're constantly moving like this.
Great point.
Another thing that comes to mind, going back to the question that you asked, and then just as Malik was, unpacking all of what he just shared, I think about, because you talked about the pressure and like, how do you manage it? And one of the things that I've found that's really helped me, and I would encourage other people to kind of consider, is like trying to think about like, where is the pressure coming from? And is it real? You know what I mean? Because I feel like there's a perception that we have to be busy. We have to say yes. We have to do all of these things. And, where is the pressure coming from? Is it something that like I am putting on myself? Is it the things or the people that are around me that are placing on me? And then is it a real pressure to do something, to compete, to keep up, to be on? And I think that that's something that has helped me, because like there's times when I'm feeling pressured or overwhelmed, and I'm like, who's putting that pressure on you?
Right.
And a lot of times it's me. Right. A lot of times it's me wanting to look busy, feel busy, be busy, all of those things. And like, where does that get you? Where does that leave you? So that's something that I've started asking myself and trying to assess, because it's really allowed me to kind of step away and be like, okay, this isn't real. I'm putting this on me. Society's putting this on me. And that doesn't even mean that I have to subscribe to it.
Right.
So that's something that has helped me to kind of look at where this is coming from and how I can react and respond to it.
I love that.
And I love both of those points. I love that self-reflective piece. I think that's important. And in order for that to happen, I think that we have to, our pace, have to be slow enough in terms of our pace to be able to kind of be aware that we need to be reflective of where we are. The other point that you made, Malik, that I think is really, really important is purpose. Of considering when we're taking on new responsibilities, new jobs, making decisions in general, that they're aligned with our purpose. Because ultimately, if we're engaging in these activities and they're aligned with our purpose, it doesn't seem like work. It seems less like work. It seems less onerous.
Right.
Because it's, yeah. So both those points, I think, need to be affirmed. So what does wanting more look like outside of materialism? So if we're talking about growth and evolution, and we're going to step outside of wanting more in terms of a home or a car, possessions, what does that look like for you?
I think about, like you talked about this a little while ago around self-awareness. And I think, wanting more is like me being able to kind of take a look at where I'm at currently and see where do I want to go? What are the things that I want to grow? What are the things that I want to, even just like try like new things, like where are the things that I, might be, not living up to a standard or an expectation. Like say, if I just want to be more present as a father, that takes me saying, you know what? I need to put my phone down. I need to, really carve out time to do this, so I think that a part of that needs to be you looking in the mirror and being like, okay, there's room for growth here. I've been stagnant here, so you need to be able to really look at yourself and be honest with yourself. Yes, it helps to have, people around you that can help you with that process and identifying, some of the things that you could explore and you could really try to pursue. But I think a lot of that really is an individual responsibility where you're like, okay, this is where I'm at and this is where I want to go. And then, like I said, then obviously, committing to it and actioning it, those are different things. But like, I think it starts with you really looking at yourself, looking inward and be like, okay, if I'm going to grow, this is how I do it. I need to name it, I need to identify it. And then, like I said, figuring out what does that look like.
And that's so important what you just said, like everything. And we've been talking about this so far, like our professional commitments, our personal commitments, our family commitments, our extra curricular commitments. And so, one of the things that it makes me think about, to Russell's point, is that in an ideal world, one of the things we do with therapy, we call it the miracle question, right? Which basically is like an ideal world. Like if everything was if it could be the way you wanted it. And so I would reframe it in terms of what we're talking about. The things that you don't have to do. Like if you could take away the things that are outside of yourself that you're expected to do. If those things aren't involved, ask yourself, what do you want to do for yourself? And is it healthy? Those are really the two questions for me. That's what I come at. Now, they're not always easy questions to answer, bro, because especially the way that we're oriented, not just in our jobs, but I think it's less the job and really the people that we are at least trying to be. Like we never have an episode we're not talking about being community oriented. That's just what we do. So it's hard for us and it's hard for many others, I would imagine, because there's so many people in our community who are community oriented, to step away. How do you still serve the community? Or maybe for a minute you're not serving the community and you're taking care of your own health. So if you didn't have to do that stuff, what would it look like? as it serves you, and is it healthy? And if you can get affirming responses to that, then that's what you have to do as an individual, bro.
Great reframing of that question, that miracle question. I like that. For the dropping some clinical elements podcasts.
Bullet.
When I think about wanting more, all of those things are free. They have nothing to do with personal possessions. It's about wanting to create more compassion and more understanding, providing myself with more grace, being able to listen more, being able to be a better partner and father and grandfather. It's those things where I want to continue to grow and evolve and gain more strategies and awareness so that I can be better. But at the same time, we can't put too much pressure on ourselves. I believe we want more, but to be accepting of where we are right now too.
Right.
To understand and celebrate that I'm being the best version of myself that I can be right now. So, again, trying to find balance with that.
Yeah, man.
So there's something that just came to my mind as we're sitting here, we're talking through this, and I think it's relevant to the conversation too. So I'll ask the both of you this first. So have you ever ran from something in your life?
Yeah. No doubt.
Still might be running.
Still running.
So when do you stop running and why?
Well, sometimes I get tired. Sometimes I get tired.
No, but that's a great...
Yeah, that's a great question. Like sometimes you get tired and sometimes I got to reframe it like, why am I really running and what's the purpose? And clearly I ain't getting away from it. I ain't getting away from it. It's still there.
Right.
And I think sometimes life presents you with situations that don't allow you to continue running from something.
Right.
You're forced to confront it.
Right.
But another great question.
And because I think about because one of the things that comes to my mind when I think about this, running from something, and I think about looking back in my life, when did I stop running or why did I stop running? And a lot of my, the times that I can think of why I stopped or when I stopped was when I felt safe.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think about, men in the world. And you think about, it could be somebody that goes from job to job to job to job. You know what I mean? They're running. What are you running from? Are you running from a professional responsibility, growth, on this job? This job might challenge me to grow and might make me have to get out of my comfort zone.
Right.
And then I even think about relationships. You see people jump from one relationship to the next and you don't feel safe. And do you ever stop to think, why do I continue to move?
Yeah, that's true.
100%. And I think that, this goes back to many other conversations that we had, but I feel like there's a lot of places in our lives where Black men haven't felt safe yet, and I think that we really need to look at why. You know what I mean? Where is this coming from? What is pushing me to keep moving? What is pushing me to keep running? And what am I running from?
Ooh, that's heavy, bro.
Yeah, that's a podcast episode.
That's what I'm saying. That just took the stiffness right out my spine. Just here like jelly, man. I'm just just thinking of it is just burdensome. But but for real, that may be it, man. It's a safety thing. Because when you feel comfortable and when you feel safe, you can slow down and you're more apt to be able to deal with it, whatever the it is, however you're finding your ways to deal with it. It really is, it really is largely about safety.
And that safety could mean I'm safe now because I believe that I have the tools and capacity to manage this when in the past I haven't.
Right.
Right? Sometimes we're ready to address and confront some of the traumas and experiences from the past.
Mm-hmm.
And in some instances, we just aren't.
Right.
We don't have the tools and ability to do that. Another great discussion, gentlemen.
Oof.
Maybe we transition into rapid fire now.
Fire. Oh, here he goes. He's going deep in the crates for this one.
Yo, who y'all got? What you got? What you got?
I'll jump it off, and I'm just going to try to make it simple to get it going and try to actually start it rapidly. So right now in your life, would you say that you're somebody that consistently chooses peace or proving a point?
Oh, can I answer for others? Do you want me to answer for Jude or we answer for ourselves?
Well, I'm just waiting for you to respond because you better answer right.
Honestly, but that's a great question. That's a great question.
Isn't it rapid fire?
I feel. Listen, he said he's going to try. You're never going to succeed at that. It's never going to be rapid. I think I choose peace. I know that's probably the better answer to give and most politically correct. I'll say this. I think now I choose peace more than before. Before it was about being right. And now really it's about peace, I think. That's the caveat. I think.
Maybe the comments will tell us something different. To me, it depends on the circumstance. It depends on the relationship. Ideally, I would love to prove or pursue peace, but many times I'm still proving points.
And would you like to give us an example?
No, I don't.
Yeah. That's smart.
No, I don't.
Smart.
What are you choosing?
That's a smart move.
I agree with both of you. Like, in a perfect world, and given we're here and we're trying to elevate the culture, I think like obviously choosing peace is the better response. But there are times when you still get you take the bait. And again, to your point, I think it depends on who it involves. I'll say right now, like I feel like sometimes with my children, I'm not choosing peace. I'm choosing your dad is right.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I typically try to choose peace. I've grown and I've allowed myself to be able to walk away from certain things that don't elevate me.
Agreed.
Well, Malik doesn't choose peace with me. That's what I know.
See, I do. Listen, I choose so much peace with you. You have no idea.
Really?
You have. Really?
What am I missing, man?
No, listen, man. You have no idea the work that I've gone through. Just when you see me not respond to a text, that's choosing peace. I got about 50 zingers, and I'm like, that's gonna create bad feelings for a while. That's too personal.
That hasn't been my experience.
Oh man. Okay. Listen.
Question.
Listen. That's
great question.
That was a great question.
Mm-hmm.
So here's one. This is a good one. Your favorite thing about African Heritage Month? Favorite thing.
So right now, off the top of my head, I love that. It for me, it feels more like a celebration now. You're literally seeing people celebrating the history, the heritage, the culture, the contributions, and it's not just this story of struggle, because growing up, it was just that story of struggle.
Right.
It was the story of slavery,
right,
and all the bad things that we've endured or survived.
Yep.
And now you're seeing celebratory things that give you a sense of pride. Like there's people, and like I feel like we're all, some of those people that already have a sense of pride, but like now it's something that's being cultivated in any and everyone. So I love that.
Yes, man.
So I guess mine would be kind of related to that, and I would say it's showcasing Blackness. I love that. I love that in all of its
forms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And mine is really, I honestly love the history part. I love the idea
That's
that
who you are.
African Heritage Month comes up and there's a focus, and I know I'm turning on TV or I know I'm doing something and they're going to have a documentary or they're going to go back or somebody did something new about this historical element.
Right.
And that's when I get excited. I'm like, okay, let me get re-inspired. So that, and I love both of those things, of course, right? Like there's no number, the question is number one, but I could choose either of those ones, but I do love the history part.
And just really quickly, because I love that too, because I feel like what you're seeing more and more of now is not just selective history.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now it's like we're seeing contributions. We're seeing people get recognition for things that people would have never, ever, acknowledged otherwise. So like, I love that. Like there's so many people that have invented things and created things and, now they're being recognized and acknowledged. And I love that.
Yes. 100%. What you got, bro?
In keeping with the theme today, what's something that always encourages you to slow down?
Oh,
An activity, what encourages you to slow down? For me, it's getting outside, it's walking. It always seems to put things in perspective.
and I know I know that makes sense for you. Here's so what I'm going to say is actually coming home. Once I get home, that actually slows me down. I get home and it's a routine, and I literally breathe, right? Exhale, unpack, take your stuff off, go chill for a minute. That's actually one of the things that slows me down. I look forward to actually getting home.
So I'm gonna take it in a little bit of a different.
Shaking your head.
Nah, because me, I work harder when I get home than when I'm working on my job.
I've been there. I've seen it. I've been there.
So where I'm gonna go with this is like, I love being around like elders.
Okay.
There's so much wisdom. There's so much like experiences that, some we know, some we don't. And, when I'm around them, it just kind of grounds me. And it just reminds me to kind of like not be in a rush to get anywhere. You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like as a young person, you're in a rush to grow up, to be independent and all of those things. But then when you start to get there, it's like, damn, this ain't as good as I thought it was going to be. This ain't as fun as I thought it was going to be. So I love being around, wisdom and just like people with experience, and then just like soaking that up, because, it just reminds you that like eventually I'm going to be here, and it's always something that like humbles me.
And and that's a great thing. I didn't expect that to be an answer, and I love that. And the thing about elders, and it's such a important part of our culture, like how we revere elders. And sometimes you say, "Oh, we don't have the respect for elders anymore." I don't know if that's true or not, but what I would say is, if we don't, we have to get back to that, because to your point, yeah, man, the wisdom, experience, knowledge, and there's a certain type of love that elders show you that makes you feel comfortable. Like there's something about elders that they just it's their lived experience that they can love you, teach you something, check you, and you'll take it because it's an elder. You know what I mean? You'll take it all. I love that. Right? Yes.
Yes. So what's elevating you?
I'll circle back to the beginning. What we talked about, doing the work with brothers in the institution, that's elevating me. There's just different. There's a feeling when we're doing programming, and one of the things that I tell the brothers, and we talk about, I'm like, listen, here's the plan. Here's what I got planned for today, but we're going to go in the direction we go in. And never get it twisted. We're already engaged in what we need to do. The fact that we are sharing the same space, and we are vibing, and we're talking about different things. It doesn't have to be agreeing. In fact, it's a more fruitful discussion when we have different points of view. But we already doing it. And one of the things that I said to them last time, I said, you guys, when I leave here, I'm not going to get this again until I come back. Like, I'm not leaving here and I'm not going to a group of 15 brothers and we're going to talk about the things we're talking about for 2 hours. Like, in the circumstance I'm in right now, like, that's not happening until I return. Right. So I'm not going to work and I got 15 Black men that I'm going to sit down at lunchtime and vibe about our lives.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, so this is Jude, you said it, is reciprocity, bro. Like I'm getting as much out of it, hopefully, as you guys, I hope for you to get out of it. So that's really elevating me right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that it's good work. Like, not because I'm doing it, but it's work that's necessary.
It's meaningful, important work.
Yes, man.
For sure. You want me to jump in next?
Go ahead.
What's elevating me, one of the things that just comes to mind right now is just seeing this continuous, momentum around these types of conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's something that honestly it inspires me. Like I've been fortunate, recently where there's been a few brothers that have just reached out to me privately and have just kind of shared what these spaces mean to them, what these conversations do for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important, because, we can talk about all of these different initiatives and how fairly new they are, you know, like even the Provincial Black Men's Conference and these other initiatives are only, in single digits in terms of how long we've been doing them. Right. So I love that we're trending upward.
Yes.
And again, like even going back to like what Malik shared about, these sessions taking place in Truro is that like there's so much intergenerational, participation, and I love that because for the longest time it's just been a pocket. It's just okay. This age demographic they're the only ones doing this, but now we're starting to see the elders come and participate, and they got a contribution. We're seeing young people come in, and they're just they're observing, but then they're engaging, and I love that. That's been elevating me.
That's a beautiful thing and so true, man. And you often say that, but it's always true. Like I'm like, okay, Russell said this before, and then you talk, and I'm like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. Like that does. And just related to that, a shout out actually this to you, Jude. Last week, Tremaine Izzard, big Tremaine, came up to me, and a surprise. And shout out to Tremaine Izzard. Good dude, man. Always good energy and beautiful family, and love his children and all that stuff. And he came up and I was just like, what's up, man? I thought we were going to talk about ball because we were at a basketball game. And he was like, man, I like what you guys are doing with the podcast. And then he said, wow, I've never seen Jude so calm. He said, I'm used to him coaching and going off and yelling and screaming. I was like, oh, he's that type of coach? Like, yeah. I was like, tell him he can amp it up a bit on the podcast if he wants. I was like, okay, bro. I didn't know it was like that, but yeah. So shout out to Tremaine Izzard, man. Like good energy, man. Positive.
What's elevating me is kind of related again to what Russell just raised. Our Black men, especially Black men in my community right now, who continue to show up. There's been a number of snowstorms over the past weeks here. We're in Atlantic, Canada. And every time that there's a snowstorm, there are brothers out there shoveling, snow blowing, neighbors out.
Right.
Seems like it's almost a race to get out there first.
Competition.
And it's just great. It reminds me of the way things used to be when someone was building a shed, everybody kind of pitched in. That sense of community, interdependence that we once had.
Yeah, bro.
So shout out to the brothers in Truro who continue to show up and do the work.
Yeah. And and the other thing too is, remember we talk about concepts of time. Remember, man, there is no past and future. There's present. We can do that now. It don't got to be the past. Like we're doing it now.
Right.
Like you're like, oh man, the past. And it's like, but actually you just described what's happening right now. We can do that.
Yes.
We can engage. Yes. We can be neighborly. We can have people over to our places. We can go over there. It's all in our hands, man.
Yes.
It's like you said about the pressure sometimes we put on ourselves. We need to pace, balance, get realigned, and do those things that always support our community and make our community best. You know what I mean?
Which comes back to that purpose that we were talking about before.
Yes, bro.
Doing things that are purposeful. Gentlemen, another fantastic conversation. Any closing thoughts or comments before we sign off?
No, don't give Russell no closing comments, man. We're good.
I'm going to just say this to anyone that's out there. Run your race, but try to find your pace so that you can sustain the pace and at a pace that allows you to see things along the way and not miss a lot of things that are going on around you.
Agreed, bro.
Nice closing comment. Got to shout out Black Adam, our producer, the brother that puts this together.
The one and only.
Makes us look and sound good. Much appreciated, brother.
Yes, man.
And with that, we out.